As of today, Tuesday, March 10, 2015, Jose Juan Chavez, a sought-after person of interest in the murders of Baytown teens Jarvis Morgan and Alejandro Chavez, is now in custody at the Baytown Police Station. Assistant Police Chief over Criminal Investigations Roger Clifford had this to say.
Well, it's been a real busy 2 days. The last 48 hours, our detectives have been chasing every lead, conducting interviews, executing search warrants, just every bit of information that we could possibly get. During that investigation, information came in sufficient enough to rise to the level of probable cause that Jose Juan Chavez, who has been our person of interest from the very beginning on this, because we know that he was one of the last persons to see our two teenagers before they disappeared. The information that we gathered led us to understand and believe that he was not just the last person to see them, but he was also very instrumental in both their abduction, being kidnapped and forcefully transported into Chambers County, and then stood by while these two young men were brutally murdered. And they did nothing to cry out, they did nothing to notify anyone. In fact, they were complicit in covering it up. So we presented that information to the Chambers County District Attorney's Office, and they agreed that we had that sufficient information. So a warrant was issued yesterday evening. We were looking all day today for him, and we received good information that he had been transported by a family member to an apartment at 501 Massey Tompkins, which just happens to be just a few blocks from the police station here. And so we went to that location. We attempted to get him to come on out on his own. He was a little bit reluctant to do that. Our SWAT team was utilized, and they have ways to persuade folks, and they did that, and he came out voluntarily and surrendered to police. He is in custody, is in the Baytown Police Department jail, where he'll be held until he is transported to Chambers County, and he will be turned over to those folks over there. The connection between the victims and the suspect, we know that they were acquaintances. They knew each other. We've heard so many different rumors about this occurred because it was a gang-related situation, or it was drug-related, or they'd had some bad blood from something. I don't know what happened, but I do know that this particular night, people who knew each other and were acquaintances, this escalated into something much, much worse than I doubt that any of them ever expected it would. And it led to them forcibly being abducted, kidnapped, and then driven into Chambers County, where they were brutally murdered. And then sometime after that murder, they were taken and dropped into the double bio in Chambers County. And it's just a very tragic situation, and I'm glad this one piece of the puzzle has now fallen into place, and we can get on with the rest of the investigation. We still have one outstanding. He's a major person in our investigation, Brandon Flores. We know he has fled the area. It's very possible that he might have fled the country, and we're looking into all the options that we might have as to where he might be. And we will continue to look for him and utilize all the resources that we have available, federal, state, local, and we will do all that we can to track him down and bring him to justice. Yep. Brandon, he's our #1 prime suspect in these murders. I believe that he's probably the most vital person involved. In the 4 persons that we have now charged, he's probably the most important one that we really need to find. And as I said, he's fled. He might have fled the country, and we're looking into that. The investigation has been extensive, 24 hours, ever since we found out that they were missing. And the information we had received was credible, and we believe that it led us into Chambers County. We had to do a lot of searching in Chambers County, but we had the help of, and I really want to stress this, that Sheriff Brian Hawthorne and his entire Sheriff's Department in Chambers County has been instrumental in helping us in so many ways. This thing started here, but it ended up in his county, and he has a vested interest in this investigation and making sure that these young men are brought to justice. We got over there. I believe that we have found the place that they were murdered. We're going to have to wait until we get some forensic testing to verify the location we found is indeed the murder location. And they were taken from that remote area in Chambers County and taken to double bio and just disposed of. And I can't think of anything more tragic for the families to have to deal with their children, their sons, being treated in such a just a horrific way. We still have so much to do to bring all these pieces together and make sure that we have everything concrete, that there's no error in any of our judgment or in our calculations. We want to make sure we have that all true. A lot of that will depend on forensic testing. The cause of death is something that I've got a lot of questions about, and it's just our policy. We're not going to comment on the exact cause of death until we get written documentation from the medical examiner's office. We've already had verbal information from their office. We actually had detectives present during the autopsy, and so we have a good idea. But until we get that in writing, we really can't comment on that. However, we can say that both victims, their death was ruled homicide on both of them. We just continue. Our hearts go out to the family members, and especially to Sharon, that would be Jarvis's mother, and to Mariana, Alex's mother. I can't imagine what they're going through right now. Our hearts go out to them, and my particular prayer is that God's grace and love will keep them and encourage them and help them during a very tragic time in their lives.